Hello basketball fans, and welcome to this week's edition of Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. I'm your host, Kelly Loft, as we take a look at Southwest Minnesota State men's basketball again this week here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable, and on the website smsumustangs.com. Glad you could be with us this week as we take a look at a couple of Mustang games last weekend in Bemidji. SMSU losing to Michigan Tech, but bouncing back for their first win of the season against future NSIC foe Minot State. So lots to talk about on this week's show, and after we discuss this last weekend's games, we'll also look ahead to the conference openers coming up this weekend, December 2nd and 3rd in Augustana and at Wayne State coming up this weekend. But that's coming up later on in the show, and as always, joining us this week is the head coach, Brad Bigler. Mustangs lose their first game at the Bemidji State Classic 68-61, a game that went down to the final few possessions. Mustangs losing to Michigan Tech by 7, but bounce back and get Minot State 87-76 on Saturday at the Bemidji State Classic in Bemidji. And Coach, we'll take a look at the highlights here shortly, but overall your thoughts of the two games against two pretty good opponents. Obviously Michigan Tech, a team that's picked to win the division in their conference, a perennial NCAA tournament team, and Minot making the transition to Division II and have played very well against some teams this year. And I'm sure overall, after you lose the first one, you're happy to get that split.
And it was a good experience. I thought Michigan Tech is a well-balanced team. I think they're a team that it starts with their inside play. The young man inside is a left-handed guy, and as we'll see, if you were able to watch the game, you would have saw he's a tough matchup. We've had to force a double team to stop him, and give them credit. They were able to knock down threes throughout the night to make the big plays. And
of course, Michigan Tech, you had a very good first half. You had a double-digit lead. Jordan Miller was red hot early, making some shots, which we'll see in the highlights. But you fell behind in the second half, but you fought back and took the lead. Well, 8 minutes to go, you had a lead, but just couldn't get enough baskets down the stretch and had plenty of opportunities 4 times in the last 2 minutes, a chance to tie or take the lead.
And that last 4 minutes was really the difference in the game. We gave up a couple offensive rebounds. We missed a layup. We missed 2 wide open threes. And in order to win a ball game versus a quality opponent like Michigan Tech, you have to be able to step up and make plays at the end of the game.
Well, a couple of stats from the ball game. Jordan Miller, 15 points and 7 rebounds to lead Southwest in scoring. Matt Zager had 10 points for SMSU. Mustangs shoot 42% in the game, but just 34% in the second half, and Mustangs lose 68-61 to Michigan Tech. Now, the next night you bounce back, you beat Minot State. And, I'm sure this is what you're thinking of when you got this tournament going, because it's just like conference play. You got to go back to back, and you got to forget that game on Friday if it's a loss, and even if it's a victory as well. You got to get ready for the next game, and you guys did that and played pretty solid against Minot.
And I'm glad we did it. That was a reason to prepare us for this upcoming weekend. Playing that back-to-back is different. It's a challenge where, like you said, guys have to put that game behind them. They have to recover quick. And in this case, we had to have some guys step up because of an injury from the previous night.
Yeah, against Minot State, Mustangs had 5 players in double figure scoring. Matt Zager, 16 points. Tremel Barnes, 15 points and 7 rebounds. And Mustangs, the key number here, Coach, 32 of 36 from the free throw line. Missed just 4 in the game, only 3 in the second half. And we don't make free throws down the stretch. A game's a lot closer than that final score indicated. And it's good to see come crunch time in the game, the team step up and make free throws.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of different ways to finish a ball game or to close out a ball game. And I think making free throws is very big, especially when you get to those one-possession ball game where we get fouled at the end of the game. We have to be able to step up and knock down free throws. And I thought a variety of guys did that on Saturday night, whether it was Bernard Birch, Tremel Barnes, Jordan Miller, and Matt Zager. I think the combination of those 4 guys shot a lot of those free throws at the end of the game. And I think Nick Smith might have even stepped up and knocked down some free throws. So I would say with the free throws, that's a positive. On the other side of the ball, maybe finishing with some more defensive rebounds, maybe stepping up and taking a charge at the end of the game, that would have helped out, maybe take a little bit of their momentum away from just putting their head down and getting to the rim every time.
Well, you mentioned the injury this past weekend, and that leads into my next question. On Friday's game, you insert senior Casey Susanguth into the lineup, the native of Wilmer, Minnesota. He played very well in the first game against Milwaukee. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds against Michigan Tech, but unfortunately went down with a foot injury and could not play Saturday against Minot State and is out here probably for a few weeks, if not longer. But talk about the reason putting Casey into the lineup and then what his situation is right now.
I think with Casey, it was a situation where he earned it. He was doing the little things. He was getting us extra possessions on offensive rebounds. On the offensive end, he was making the easy play. And defensively, he was bringing a consistent energy level. And I thought he was a right fit, especially for matchups when it came to Michigan Tech. It also gave us an opportunity to bring Lavion off the bench, maybe a little bit more of a scorer off the bench, a different type of athlete off the bench. So it seemed to be the right move at the time versus Michigan Tech. We had to make an adjustment following night because of his foot injury. I think it was one of those things where he came down on another guy's foot, and unfortunately, he's just going to have to kind of fight through it right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So William Giddings got the start and played 14 minutes on Saturday against Minot State. Another player, a newcomer that played very well and made some big free throws down the stretch, and again had 7 rebounds, and that's Tremel Barnes, and also had 3 field goals. And he's, of course, in his first year as playing now in the Mustang basketball program, the transfer from Northern State. Talk about the progress that Tremel's made and why he's so key to having him backing up at the point guard position, and why you can play both point guards at the same time.
Well, the one thing it does is it brings us stability at the point guard spot. We've talked about it on several occasions where Jordan Miller doesn't have to play the point. It allows him to just focus on the wing and be that playmaker on the wing. The other thing that Tremel has brought us is not only with ball handling, but his ability to defend. He defends at a high level. He can defend bigger athletes. He's also a guy who, I guess we didn't put this into account, but he rebounds the basketball at a very high level for a guard position, whether that's on the offensive end, he'll go down and chase balls out of his area. On the defensive end, he's scrappy enough and athletic enough to go make plays and get rebounds. So he's a guy, because of the way he defends, the way he rebounds, and the way he sets up his teammates, we have no problem playing both Bernard and him at the same time.
Again, the Mustangs, a big rebounded margin in the win over Minot State, 43-28. You did get out-rebounded against Michigan Tech, and you look at some of the numbers, Coach, you shoot more poor, was that such a word, shoot a lower percentage against Michigan Tech but get less offensive rebounds. You shoot a higher percentage against Minot and get more offensive rebounds. I mean, that just tells you maybe it's the team you're playing, obviously, as well, but you know, the chances are there to get some rebounds, and I'm sure you're stressing that because that's kind of been a Southwest forte here over the past few years, is getting those rebounds.
And I thought it was a group effort. I thought you saw guys like Bernard Birch going in there. You saw Tremel getting, I mean, it's 1 through 5 going in and making plays on offensive rebounds, and that's what we need to continue to do. It really starts with that power forward position. That's a position where we're sending them to the boards. They have to be able to make more plays, and if they can do that, then I think we can become a good rebounding team. But we're far from that right now, but we're seeing improvement, and we'll continue to stress it.
Well, again, the Mustangs, we'll take a look at the highlights here shortly, in just a few seconds. But again, they lose to Michigan Tech 68-61 on Friday. The Mustangs, again, just 2 players in double figures in scoring, with 15 was Jordan Miller and 10 for Matt Zager. Mustangs trailed 34-31 at half, and then were outscored by 4 in the second half. But the game went down to the wire. Mustangs had 4 chances in the final 2 minutes to win the ball game or take the lead at least, and could not do that. SMSU 11 of 15 from the free throw line and 6 of 16 from 3-point range. So the Mustangs and Michigan Tech starting the tournament off in Bemidji at the Bemidji State Classic, and we start off with our highlights for the Mustangs. And as I mentioned earlier, Coach, Jordan Miller red hot early on.
A good situation where Bernard got in the paint, found Jordan on that side screen. You see Jordan stepping off a ball screen.
Great pass. Miller with the assist for the Mustangs. He had 3 in the game, and here's his 3rd field goal that he'll make, and already at 8 points, and that's a long-range 3.
And at that point, we always encourage him. Anytime you kind of get in a rhythm, be over-aggressive, and I think that's where that shot came in. And now you see Will Giddings coming in the lineup, knocking down a jumper.
That's a tough hit. Continuing on, more Jordan Miller, a spin move inside the arc, and you're thinking right now he's got 10 points. He might be going up for 30+, but Tech did a very good job shutting him down later on in the game. There's Nick Smith with 2 points in the paint, and there's Lavion West off an assist from Matt Zager. And Lavion, his game, if he can make those threes, much needed for there. But the Mustangs, that's what Lavion can do as well, force a steal. Mustangs get the turnover and get the basket by Matt Zager. And here's again Casey Susanguth, 2 of his 8 in the game, off an assist from Jordan Miller. And here's Bernard Birch driving. And Coach, it seems like you're getting a lot more looks to rack this year, a lot more layup opportunities.
And that's going to be common because we don't have a guy that's on the block just demanding the ball like we did last year with both Taylor Hughesby and Scott Rail. We're using Nick a little bit differently, which is opening up the blocks and really allows those guards to penetrate and get good action to the rim.
We go on now to the second half. Again, Mustangs trail by 3. There's a 3 by Matt Zager. And then Jordan Miller forcing one up and getting it to go on and one in the second half. And continuing on, and here's Trent Carlson hitting a big 3. And we need Trent to come through and hit some threes like that. There's an assist from Lavion West. And here's Casey drawing a couple of fouls back-to-back, getting to the rim and getting to the free throw line. Couldn't knock down all the free throws, but showing the aggressiveness that he needs to have.
And it was a situation where he just kept it simple. He was just catching and driving hard and making them step over and defend. If they would have slid over for rotations, he would have kicked it out for an open 3.
Zager right now on the right elbow, sets a screen and gets the ball back. Great pass, Jordan Miller, and fires it over to Zager for the 3. Again, Matt with 2 3-pointers in the game. Susanguth again going hard to the rack and scoring 2. Nick Smith, sophomore, posting up. Nice up and under move for 2. Again, Nick in the ball game for the Mustangs, 8 points, 8 rebounds.
Again, just another opportunity for Bernard to get to the rim, finish in traffic.
This is late in the game. Smith in the block with the right hand goes up and scores, and that's the ball game. Though Mustangs do lose 68-61 to Michigan Tech, as you mentioned, had a 2-point lead with 8 minutes to go, but just 2 field goals in the last 10 minutes for SMSU. Just could not make some shots down the stretch, and that proved to be the difference. And Coach, you've done it as a player and coach long enough now. You know, what are some of the things that you can do when you know maybe during the game you don't realize that, boy, we've only made a couple of baskets and during a long stretch? Is it just, you know, trying to draw up a play with some action to the rim, at least get to the free throw line? Or, you know, what are some of the things that can get out of an offensive rut like that late in the game?
Well, I think we were getting a lot of action to the rim. And if you were to watch the film, I guess, you would see we did. We missed quite a few baskets within 8 feet. And I think it's just a matter of fact those guys are us stepping up and just knocking down those shots. We have great looks. You evaluate the film. It's exactly what we need to do. It's just the ability to knock down those shots. Maybe when you're tired. Maybe playing through fatigue is a thing that we have to focus on a little bit better right now, where when we're tired, you have to do the little things better. And that's something where stepping up and maybe holding that follow through, getting your feet set, those type of things where you're catching the ball ready to score the basketball.
Well, the Mustangs didn't have much time to worry about that loss to Michigan Tech because just like conference play, they have to play the next night. And Coach, you get ready for Minot State. Kind of talk about your game day planning for Minot State, what goes on after the game. You played an early contest, 5 o'clock on Friday against Michigan Tech, and you play 5 o'clock against Minot State. But you get done, is it watching film that Friday night? And then what's the game plan on Saturday mornings? Very similar to conference play.
With the game being at the 5 o'clock, it allowed us to go get something to eat, and then we actually watched film the next day. We watched film not only on Minot but on ourselves as well. And I think that's actually a rule change by the NCAA. You cannot watch film in a situation like that. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the rule. So we watched film the next day, and we got to a shoot around the next day, and just kind of your normal game day routine. I thought our guys were focused, and on the bus on the way over to the game versus Minot, it was a pretty quiet bus. I think they were locked in and ready to go.
And Minot State, a team that beat the University of Mary in double overtime on Tuesday, so they had some momentum coming in. They did lose to Bemidji State the previous night, but they took on the Mustangs. SMSU wins 87-76. The high-powered, high-scoring attack of the Mustangs. It's been a while since we scored almost 90 points in the game, but you made some free throws down the stretch. As we mentioned, SMSU really never trailed in the game, led by 13 at halftime, and held off Minot State in the second half. You had a 16-point lead in the second half, and pretty much just a workmanlike effort by your squad, and that's kind of what we're probably going to expect from Mustang basketball.
It was a pretty solid performance. I think when you look at it as a coach, you want to be perfect. So you're looking at some of those baskets that they got late in the game just to give them the momentum or to give them confidence to keep fighting. Where if we could have got a few of those stops, maybe all of a sudden the game bounces up to a 16-point game, and it's the outcome's just a little bit different. But it was a good performance. I think we out-rebounded them. I thought our guys were good at getting the boards. I thought our guys were good at getting actually the rim. Defensively, we still have a long ways to go. We have to work on some closeouts. We have to work on our rotations. And we have to become a better defensive team.
And that's one thing fans always look at the statistics, and it's just something that the little things, and maybe we'll do that in a later episode, and we don't want to obviously call out people, but just explain what that means on not closing out, or something that maybe fans wouldn't see on a box score about the shot goes up by the opponent and they get an offensive board. People maybe think, well, what a great play by the offensive player, but sometimes it's just guys not focusing up and getting that boxing out and making an easy rebound for themselves.
And then in all sports, there's always, anytime there's a score, there's a breakdown of some sort. So it's trying to minimize those breakdowns. And right now in the defensive end, especially late in the shot clock, our ability to stay disciplined and have that toughness to fight through that possession is just something that we need to get better at. Whether it's our youth or whatever, it's just we do have a few guys who, for example, Nick Smith, only being a sophomore, yes, he did start a lot of games last year, but we also had 2 seniors that finished ball games. So to get him that experience to finish ball games, as well as throwing Trammell out there and a few other new guys. So it's just a matter of learning how to win ball games.
Again, Southwest led 38-25 at halftime, and then we're outscored 51-49, but as Coach mentioned, a lot of free throws made by the Mustangs and some desperation shots put up by Minot. Got it down to single digits in the final minute or so, but SMSU, again, clutch free throw shooting in the game, 32 of 36. Let's take a look at the highlights from Saturday night's game in Bemidji against Minot State. Mustangs in the gold uniforms, and in this first half, Michael Apple with a three-pointer off an assist from Trent Carlson, giving you a spark. Mustangs 5 three-pointers in the game. Jordan Miller with the jumper, and here's Trent Carlson from the corner.
And the difference between these two teams is Minot was really packing into the paint, so it was important that we stepped up and knocked down some perimeter shots early just to make them respect us. And then we were able to get action to rim later in the game.
Mustangs patient on this offensive possession. Everybody on the floor nearly gets a touch. There's 4 of them, and Zager with the basket. And then continuing on, Apple again off the pick and roll, fadeaway jumper from 8 feet.
Trent Carlson with a good take. That time they locked up on the backside, but Trent took advantage of it and got to the rim.
Again, Zager, 1 of 5 Mustangs in double figures, and that's great movement away from the basketball, making it an easy layup for Southwest. Nobody saw him cutting from the baseline. He gets 2. And here's Bernard Birch, a long-range 3 for Jordan Miller.
And again, that's just making the right read. I thought Bernard did a good job, him and Trammell, of making good decisions in traffic. You see there, just kicking out, getting another good possession, getting the ball to Matt Zager. Here you see Nick Smith staying with the play and finishing on the offensive rebound.
Again, Smith with 8 rebounds in this game. That was a team high. It's a pass here, sticks with it, resets the offense, and demands that basketball and gets a touch in the post, faces up, drives, and scores 2.
And that's where Nick has shown a lot better patience this year, and that's experience, to being able to hold a guy off and finish through contact.
Zager going to the rim and scoring 5 field goals in the game. Was a team high for the Mustangs. Trammell Barnes, a little shake and bake, and great take to the basket. He gets 2.
Good find by Bernard. Good catch by Nick Smith.
And then Bernard Birch here with a couple of nice plays, a basket and then a steal. He's dropping the pass off and coming through here. And making some plays here in this big stretch here in the second half to kind of put the game away.
Good patience, just getting some good ball movement, not settling for open shots, but more so just focusing on getting action to the rim. As you'll see, late in the shot clock, they go under the screen, and Bernard steps up and knocks down the perimeter shot.
One of the better defensive players in the league, and shows it right there. Steals, goes up, and gets the basket. And then Jordan Miller seals the deal here with a basket after the Tramal Barnes hoop. And then Miller with the top of the key three-pointer. And then a couple of baskets here to end the highlights, Nick Smith and Bernard Birch.
Later on in the possession, and this was important, just to make them defend a lot of the shot clock when you get up double digits, and Bernard finds a way to go in and finish.
And that's, again, the final score. Mustangs get the win. They're now 1-2 on the season. And with that victory, 87-76 over Minot State. Mustangs still have one more non-conference game. That's coming up in a week and a half at South Dakota State. But before that, a big conference weekend, Coach, this weekend at Augie and at Wayne State.
Yeah, Augustana's preseason #1 in the conference. And Wayne State's a team that, down at Wayne, they're a very difficult team for us in the past to play down there. And that's a lot of part, just they're a great team at home. They play well at home, they shoot it well at home, and it's going to be a good challenge for us this weekend.
Well, you look at the first couple of weeks, Coach. You go to Division I, Wisconsin-Milwaukee, play a very good Michigan Tech on a neutral court. You beat Minot. Now you go on the road at Wayne, at Augie, at South Dakota State. And we do have a home schedule this year, and we'll finally get it home on December 9th against St. Cloud State and then Concordia, and that opens up a 4-game homestand right before the holiday break. But as you mentioned, this weekend's games, Augustana preseason picked to win the conference. They've got a couple of All-Americans on their team, candidates, a Division I transfer. You know, it's going to be like this pretty much every night in the conference, so as we talked about. They're going to face very good teams in our league, you know, 1 through darn near the entire 14 schools. Very good basketball conference again.
And that's the preseason was set up for this weekend's games. That's why we got on the road. That's why we chose to take that route with the tough schedule that we did. So we believe we were battle tested. We've talked all along that this first stretch might be in all honesty, might be the toughest stretch we have the entire year, going the first 6 games on the road, kind of throwing the Colorado State game as well in St. Olaf. But there's quite a few games there where we feel like we're prepared. Can we get better? Without a doubt. It's early in the season. There's going to be a lot of improvement in a lot of teams, but we know what we have to get better at, and this week we're going to come ready to go and get ready for Friday night.
Well, you talk about practice now this week, and knowing that Susan Goose, not going to play this weekend. I'm sure that gives you now this 4 days before the game to prepare that way, and the guys know their roles. Yeah,
and that's something that I think as we're getting going here early in the conference season, you try to define roles the best you can. I think guys right now are really settling into some roles. We do need a few guys to be able to step up a little bit more, and they have the talent to do that. It's just a matter of getting that confidence and maybe putting in a little bit of extra time. But we're ready to go, and we're excited to get going on Friday night.
That should be fun. Friday night, Mustangs 8 o'clock start down in Augustana at Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the Mustangs taking on the Vikings. There is a fan bus going to that ball game on Friday. They'll go down and watch the women's play at 6 o'clock. There's actually a social prior to that at Champs down in Sioux Falls. So if you're interested in going, it's just $10 to get on the bus. Go to smsumustangs.com, and there's more information on the website there to go down Friday and check out a couple of great basketball games on this Friday against Augustana. And then the Mustangs will go down to Wayne, Nebraska to play the Wildcats on Saturday. A little earlier start. Women start at 4 o'clock, the men at 6 on Saturday down in Wayne State. And then the Mustangs, of course, next week will also play Division I South Dakota State in a non-conference game on Tuesday, before returning back to the RA facility for a start of 4 home games at the RA facility, starting up with St. Cloud State on December 9th. But still lots of basketball coming up before then. Coach, best of luck this weekend as the Mustangs open up conference play at Augustana and at Wayne State. Thanks for joining us this week on Mustang Basketball with Brad Bigler. For more information on Mustang Basketball, go to smsumustangs.com. For the head coach, Brad Bigler, I'm Kelly Loft. Thanks for watching this week's episode. Until next time, Go Mustangs!